There's some more clips here from stuff out there. CNBC had on Shep Smith. He had a guy named Michael Weiss on. And this first clip, it's not as important. I was thinking about skipping it. Basically, he's talking about how intelligence reports from Estonia and some of the local, nearby nations suggest that Putin has like a couple months left if he really wants to go full board. And that a lot of, the stuff we've heard about, a lot of the Russian soldiers are, and by the way, so Ukraine is labeling everything that the list of casualties includes people that just walked away from their vehicles or their weapons or whatever. They can just be kind of hanging out in Ukraine.
That's a really good point. That's a good thing to bring up. And we've talked about it before. But yeah, technically, the military definition of a casualty is not always a death.
Right. It's like a disarmament.
It includes wounded, and it includes, people that just quit. It just means any soldier who is no longer fighting or cannot fight or whatever. Yeah.
So, that was an interesting point there. And, saying that Putin only has a short amount of time. But then this clip over here was kind of interesting as well.
Incredible. Michael, could some of Putin's generals have duped him? I mean, on how ready they were, how much equipment they actually had?
So there's a dispute here about what's actually taking place. I can tell you that Putin has already begun to cannibalize his own regime in a very Stalinist manner. There are purges taking place, house arrests of major FSB generals, including the head of the so-called Fifth Service, which is the foreign intelligence arm of the FSB, the domestic security apparatus, which, believe it or not, has a foreign intelligence arm. This guy is now apparently under house arrest. There have been reports that up to 8 generals in the army are also under house arrest. I saw today the head of Russia's National Guard has been placed under house arrest. So the question is, why is this happening? Is it because they sold Putin a bill of goods? They told him they were going to have a cakewalk and that Ukrainians were going to greet the Russians with open arms and chocolates and flowers? Or is it because he is interpreting in his paranoid KGB mind? Remember, this is going back to sort of Cold War mentality. He's interpreting failure as betrayal. Why are my generals not succeeding? Is it because they're working for the West? Have they defected in place? Are they moles? I mean, remember, how did the United States know, almost down to the date, that Putin was going to invade Ukraine? It's because he's probably his entire regime is perforated with leakers and moles.
Yeah, leakers and moles. That's why. That's why Biden knew. It wasn't the lizard people memo going out to all the outlets.
That explains it.
Yeah.
This is an interesting topic, though. I just dropped a little link there into our document. And I meant to bring this story, but I think it just fits in as a quick mention here.
Okay.
And this is over on Yahoo News, mirrored from Business Insider, which, take that for what it's worth. The headline is "Private Jets from Russia are flying to Dubai after Putin threatened to purge Russian society of traitors."
Purge Russian society.
And this is not the right article that I wanted, but it's a clip. The long story short is he made a speech and mentioned we must purge ourselves, this self-purge that he's been talking about. And of course, the U.S. media is freaking out about this. They're, comparing it to like the what is it? Like, obviously Hitler. A self-cleansing. That's what it was called. A self-cleansing of society.
Did he use the word purge or cleansing?
He used purge, I believe.
Because
self-purification of society, I believe, was the actual word.
Interesting.
And it was about exactly what we're talking about, which is westernized oligarchs, oligarchs who, became oligarchs through the support of Putin in sort of a quid pro quo, where they help support his power and he gives them access to all sorts of things, making them incredibly rich. And he made this speech complaining that they're westernized, the oligarchs, the westernized oligarchs, and we must have a self-purification of these westernized oligarchs.
Yeah, it sounds kind of Q-ish.
It's spooky. Sounds like a lot of things.
Oh, it sounds.
They were trying to compare it to Stalin, which right. It's not much of a leap there. Compared it to Hitler, of course, with sort of purification of society,
race, whatever.
And so all these oligarchs are jumping on their jets and flying to Dubai. And there is a really interesting sort of conspiratorial tone to the article I was reading. Is like, well, we don't even know who's on those planes, but we know the planes belong to the oligarchs, but maybe they could be decoy planes, or they could be, filled with gold bars, or, all this stuff. Which is very interesting. Some were considering a mainstream, corporate news article was talking about how, the oligarchs are flying to Dubai to escape a nuclear bomb that's going to go off in Russia or something like that. It was wild conspiracy theories, which of course I love. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but considering it was full on mainstream corporate news, is pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, all of this is very interesting from the stepping away and analyzing the media and really seeing the division, propaganda West, propaganda Russia. It's very it's hard to know what's